Tim, I see, if I'm not mistaken, I see a compact disc. That's what they call those, right? A CD on your desk.
I almost even forgot that that's what CD stood for.
Compact disc.
What does DVD stand for?
Something video disc. I don't
Digital
know.
video disc?
Video disc, maybe. I don't know.
That this doesn't even roll off the tongue, but I mean, there's probably a good portion of our audience that doesn't even know what a DVD is, my man. God forbid the trip to Blockbuster, which you reference all the time. The poor guy in college, by the way, we got a hold of his Blockbuster card, and that's how I can give you word for word from like Roadhouse, you know. And we took out a couple movies that never made it back. Poor guy. I'm not going to name his name. He's still looking for me. But right, so I'm holding. We just got in the mail.
Let me see. You got to hold that up. I can't.
Yeah,
Tom Petty. Can't read out you have to read the bottom.
Wildflowers and all the rest.
Okay.
Now this is like a mini box set. I mean, look, Tom Petty, in my house, we still have not gotten over the sad news of his passing. And I think it's incredible how prolific he was as a pop songwriter. I don't think he gets his just due, and it was rock and roll. I mean, but I think some of his ability to crank out top 40 hits is something that is extraordinary.
The umbrella of rock and roll, would he fall under, and we've had this conversation, but I'll ask again, would he be considered a Southern rocker, or just because of the fact that he's from Florida,
interesting,
doesn't make him a Southern rocker? I mean, I just throw that to you.
So look, Florida residents will try to lay claim to Petty, and I think they should. I think Gainesville, baby, Florida State Seminoles. And I think, if you know a little bit about the sound coming out of there, but there's no question that Tom was influenced by that LA sound.
Right.
But his roots, and we talk about, I think we've mentioned this before, Tom Petty to me is linkage from the 60s all the way back. And that's not only linkage through things like the Traveling Wilburys, where he's with Bob Dylan and George Harrison and whatnot, but Jeff Lynne, but the sound that Tom Petty took on and took over essentially and passed straight through to then bands like REM and then all the bands that did that in the 90s is that sound of the Byrds. And in fact, Petty's covered a lot of the Byrds songs, and that's David Crosby and that crew, Roger McGuinn.
Was Stephen Stills part of the Byrds? Was it Graham Nash? I always mix those.
Stephen Stills, well, that's CSNY. Graham Nash is the Hollies. Stephen Stills is Buffalo Springfield with your boy Neil Young. But all right, so off we go. So this is, first of all, this is you got to pick this up, folks. If you don't have, you got some great liner notes.
So let me ask you a question. How many songs on this compilation?
Well, there's four CDs. The first one's Wildflowers, which was actually, I think, 94 or 5 release. That was actually the first one he did with Rick Rubin, the Beard.
Sure.
But I know you don't say sure like you knew that. You didn't know that.
Of course not.
But anyway, great album. And then 3 other albums, some B-sides, some stuff we haven't heard before. But this Wildflowers album, this was like a 3 times platinum album. And there's some incredible songs on here. And in fact, I think, what I want to do right now is have you name a song. We like to do this, right? And remember like the book club days, or where we take the title and I want you to weave a market narrative.
All right. So I'm going to give you a number, and then you give me the title of the song.
Okay.
Because I'm sure the songs are numbered, and then I'll try to weave a market narrative. So how many songs? 15 or so songs?
15. Give me a number 1 to 15, and let's go. And I'll do the same in return.
I'm going to jump this out. Number 3, please, Monty.
Number 3. Time to Move On is number 3.
Time to move on.
I mean,
weave that into the market.
It's as if we knew that. And by the way, this is such a huge week for earnings, folks. And it's also a week that not only is the week before the elections, and where we might normally be getting some seasonal, actually some seasonal buying, but throw it all up in the air. Oh, and coming into this, the S&P is down 5% and it's traded down, 6 to 7 days. Is it time to move on, Guy Adami?
All right. So is it time to move on from? So I would say,
not your favorite REO Speedwagon song, It's Time for Me to Fly,
Time
which
for
I
Me to Fly.
know
A
you
lot of
love
time
those
for that.
guys.
I told you, you say that as if
I
I'm
know.
hiding from it. I'm not
No.
hiding from it. I mean,
Embrace
and
it.
REO Speedwagon, as you know, they're huge fans of both CNBC's
Is it time to
Fast
hide
Money
from
and
the
Commercial
market,
Break.
Guy Domi? What are
Is
you
it
hiding
time
from
to
the
move
market?
on? Well, I got to tell you something. At around 85 or so basis point in the 10-year yield, it might be time to move on from the long bond trade, number one. Number two, 3,400's been the pivot point in the S&P 500 for a while now. That was a prior high back on February 20th. That's basically where we're trading now. You better hope earnings come out strong on Thursday. Otherwise, it's going to be time to move on. And the last one is the U.S. dollar. I don't know what's going to happen with the election, but if the dollar index starts to roll over, in other words, starts to move below that 90 or so handle, then you really got to think it's time to move on. I will tell you,
Yep.
earnings are everything. I'm scared here. With the VIX north of 30, it might actually be time to move on. I'm glad I said number 3. That was a good one.
Well, I'm going to have you pick a number because I now know which songs are which. But before
So
we
it's
do
not
that,
fair,
I'll
right?
just
Right.
yeah, I'll say one more thing though. I actually think a weaker dollar could be good for stocks, and I think between the Fed and a weaker dollar, those are typically recipes for equities to move higher. Remember, a dollar that would be rallying in many cases would be a flight to quality. That along with Treasury yields. But you give me 1 to 15,
All right.
and I'll.
So that was time to move on. Number 3 was time to move on, and
Okay.
I'm gonna. All right. So I'll go to the other end of the spectrum. 1, 5, 15.
All right. This is really small print, and I believe it says, wake up time. That's right. Number 15.
Time
wake
to
up
move
time.
on into wake up time.
All right. So the question is, Thursday, when we have everyone from Apple to Amazon to Facebook to Google reporting, is it's not only that, whoa, is that wake up time first brain cell derivative, is it going to be a tough day for markets? But think about the earnings we had out of that group last quarter. Could there have been a more robust, bombastically positive, I said that, day for market earnings? Remember those numbers we got out of Apple? Remember those numbers we got out of Amazon?
Ridiculous.
And so think about the quarter over quarter, at least, comps that need to be beat, and think about where these companies, no matter what you believe, there is certainly an argument to be made that any of these companies have pulled forward sales, especially someone like an Apple. So ultimately, again,
move on time, wake up time, move on time, time to move.
Time to move on, wake up time. This is, by the way, I read my horoscope in the New York Post. Sally Bronson it's like she's in my head. And I feel as if we kind of just did a little bit of Sally Brompton here.
I like that. There's a great Twilight Zone episode. I believe it's William Shatner is in this one. And they go to their car breaks down. They go to a local diner and they sit at a booth and they have one of those fortune teller things and they put pennies in it and it tells the fortune, but it's so vague and ambiguous. But Shatner did exactly what you just did. Like, this little fortune teller's in my head, and his wife is like, dude, it's the most vague it could be, but I'll give you that. So let me ask you this.
Please.
Since we're on to the 2 time songs out of 15, I would submit, and you're going to say there's no way, Time Is on My Side is one of the top 3 Rolling Stones songs of all time. Tim Seymour.
You know what? There's a little bit of defensive listening in there, but I love it. I think if I'm going, I can tell you the top 3 Rolling Stones I don't want to hear. And number 1 is Sympathy for the Devil. The second is Start Me Up. In fact, Microsoft, who reports today, ruined that song by making that part of their Windows thing when you turned on your computer. So even Satisfaction. I mean, these songs just they've been so beaten into the ground. But give me a Monkey Man. Give me a Rocks Off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Exile and Mystery. And Time Is on My Side. It's not on our side, guy. We got to get out of here.
Look, I'm going to throw tumbling dice at you, and you better be rolling the effing dice into earnings on Thursday. We'll talk later.
I am. I am. Rolling the bones. See you tomorrow.